Intelligent Ramblings with your host, Bill Lofton. Co-hosted by Gary Glenn and William Howington, with help from John Cohn.
Welcome to Intelligent Ramblings. I'm Bill Lofton. I'm your host with my co-host, John Cohn, Mr. Gary Glenn, and Mr. William Howington. We've got a lot to talk about tonight because it's been an interesting weekend or week in Washington, D.C. and on the other side of the world, we've got things going on there as well. First thing we want to jump on is the president's speech last night to Congress and the Senate and whoever the hell else wasn't watching. Everybody was. We were interested to see what Captain Crunch is going to do and if he's going to be insanity for an hour or what. And it was a long speech. It was like an hour and 45 minutes. Matter of fact, he breaks the record, so he's got the longest speech. So
it was huge.
Kudos to Trump for that. We managed to stay awake through it. It was huge.
No. Huge.
He doesn't say huge. Oh, huge. Okay. It was huge last night. Huge. Anyway, the thing about it is President Trump had some good ideas last night, and I hope he's able to do a lot of them, and we'll talk about them. But he likes to embellish. Is that the right word? Embellish. He expand on the truth sometimes. So you got to take it in one hand and whatever. I don't know the actual saying for that, but
it's hyperbole.
I mean, my thoughts were, he had some good ideas. I mean, he's had 100 orders and 400 actions. I mean, the dude's been busy, no doubt. I mean, he is, in the first 43 days, he has just like cranked it up and like we've never seen before. Usually, they're just now picking out furniture in the White House and getting all that done, putting new paintings up and changing it around. But hell no. This guy, like I said a couple of weeks ago, he had a notebook that thick, and when he got there, he just started signing. And some of his stuff are good, some of it's bad. I mean, you got to wonder how this is going to happen. I mean, how it's going to make the world react, and the fact that, well, he withdrew us from the World Health Organization. He withdrew us from the Paris Climate Agreement, which I do not agree with. He withdrew us from the UN Rights Council. Let's see, he withdrew us from UNESCO, which is a UN where they're teaching culture overseas, and they've been known for their anti-Israeli bias, so that is what has got him against them. But I think these organizations will survive and they'll keep going and doing their job. And if it's going to save us a shit ton of money to get out of them, well, maybe that's a good idea. Who knows? What do you think, Gary?
I think that...
What were your thoughts on that speech that was so huge?
It was very long and rambled a bit. They were long on proposals and short on specifics, except with some of the facts and statistics he quoted, which I'm sure that they'll have to be fact-checked and already have been, and some of them need more context. Some of them are just exaggerations. As I said, he's prone to hyperbole. Everything is not just big. It's huge, and it's the greatest ever was, and we're going to be, the world's going to see something like they've never ever seen before, and that kind of stuff. So you have to take all that with a grain of salt. There were some things that I found myself agreeing with, and I said, well, I hope that happens. I'm not sure I would have done it exactly that way. He's got a lot of lawsuits that are going to have to proceed their way through the court system. One is already the freeze that he had to pay out, that he put on certain things the Supreme Court has already said that if it was contracted by the United States and the work is done, they've got to be paid for that.
John, what do you think?
I think it was a long speech. I frankly didn't listen in depth because you just have to wade through a lot of the hyperbole that Gary was talking about to get to a thought that's worth spending some time with. Two or three things. The impressions I got from the speech are that not a lot has changed for Trump as president since his first term, other than the organization behind him is a lot bigger, a lot more organized, and a lot better funded. They're thinking about tariffs and funding the changes in the way they want the government to operate are really wrong. I disagree with those about as strongly as you can. The one last thing I will say is the Democrats, their response to the speech was incredibly weak.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean,
And-
look, the signs.
thing I want to say is
Really?
I was reminded during the speech of how completely the Republican Party, that used to be my party, has sold out to Trump. They've completely sold out.
Yeah,
They're
but
part
John,
of the crime family now.
does that give them, does that let them be able to do something that we would do when we were in the high school? No, wait a minute. I'm sorry, high school. Elementary school, holding up signs during the whole speech.
I
And
thought
a
that
few
was
things-
incredibly dumb.
I thought it
Like,
was
who-
so
Who came
immature.
up
It
with
was
that?
it was
Don't ever
bullshit.
listen to them again.
You know, I mean, get up. The only one I got any respect for in the Democratic Party right now that was in attendance at that building is that Al Green, the congressman, that
Green.
stood up with his cane and shook it at him and hollered at Trump. Now he's got some cojones that are that big. That guy is strong. That guy's a hero. That's what our country needs, is somebody just stands up and says, "No, you're not going to do this. This is wrong."
Wish
But
he
sit
did.
there and
He
hold a
stood up and
sign?
made it known.
Hold a sign? That was so immature. It was so, it was just lame is the best word I can come up with it. And I don't agree with it at all. And I also don't agree with the fact that a few things that he said that affected the Democrats and the Republicans, they should have stood up and applauded. You know, he may be as effed up as it comes as a president, in somebody's opinion, but he's still a president. You know, and you got to give him kudos to the fact that he kicked their ass in the election. No doubt about it, that he won. And he won big. And you got to give him some kudos for it. If I saw him, I would stand at attention. You know, I mean, I don't like the guy. We all know that. But I would stand at attention and give him due respect. William, what do you think?
Well, I'd like for him to go into more specifics about what he was doing. And can you hear me?
All day.
Yeah.
Oh, well, good. A lot of generalities and not specifics on what he was doing, but otherwise, I think it was a pretty good speech. And I don't know about the cojones of that guy. I think he's an idiot, Al Green. And he should have been thrown out of there. You don't interrupt the president during his speech to Congress. I mean, that's just stupid. And he knew he was going to get thrown out. I guess. I hope he did.
He did.
He did.
He did it
I
with
knew
the
he- I
intent
knew
of
he
getting
got-
thrown out.
Well, he
He got
did.
ushered,
He got thrown
ushered the
out.
hell out.
If he's got something to say, he should come out and say it in a press conference and make it well known. Because I couldn't tell what he was mad at, other than the fact that he was just mad. And I don't know, what was said that got him all riled up, or if he was just riled up, period. Like I said, set up a press conference and make your facts known if you got any facts, and see what the problem is. But otherwise, he was just being a complete jerk.
He's
That's all I have
really
to say.
outspoken. He represents the district that Houston, Texas is in. And he is the first person in this Trump term to file articles of impeachment. He filed those articles like within the first 2 weeks of Trump taking office. And they're not going to go anywhere, of course, but he's, like I said, very outspoken. And what he was saying, I read later last night, was that he was saying, don't cut Medicare, don't cut Medicaid, don't cut Social Security. It was the point he was trying to get across while he was getting himself thrown out.
Well, he should have said that in some kind of speech. I didn't hear him say he was cutting Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security. I never heard that part. Maybe he did say it. I just missed it.
I
No,
couldn't
he
hear
insists that
anything he
he's
was saying.
not.
You couldn't
Trump
hear it.
insists he's not.
No, he's not. He's not touching it. And he said he's not touching it.
Oh, that's
And he
good.
hadn't. He hadn't. You know. So
I don't know about y'all, but I got a check this week from Social Security.
Same here.
And I don't imagine you're going to turn it back in, are you, John?
I'm not. And I don't
Yeah.
want it to decrease. I want it to increase. And it could.
Well, that's due to Elon Musk and finding all these billions of dollars of waste.
What are you talking about?
He said he
You
was-
got a check? You get a regular check, or did you get another check?
No, I got a bonus.
I didn't get one of those.
I didn't get one of those
No.
either.
Well, I got one. Remember, they said it was going to come out and pay people money.
Yeah.
Well, I was one of the ones they paid.
Did you?
And I don't
Good.
think it
Maybe
has
they're
anything to
going
do-
down the voter rolls and
He
paying
probably
all the
because you're
Republican
Republican. You see, you probably got it because you're Republican.
Well, I'm not a card carrying Republican. I'm not a
Oh,
member of the
good
Republican-
God, William! Are you out of your damn mind? You're not a card carrying Republican. God,
I'm not. I haven't
That is
signed
a-
up for anything.
boom! I wish I had
I might
a
have
video of an
Republican,
explosion right now because
I
I would.
might have
I would
Republican
literally
views.
explode.
But I'm not a
Yours.
member of the Republican Party. How would they
Yeah.
know to give me anything?
Maybe they heard you on Intelligent Ramblings, rambling on
Oh,
about
yeah,
the
there you
Republican
go.
Party.
Yeah, that was it.
You
Elon
think?
Musk
Did you-
listens to us.
Elon Musk
Did you-
listens
yeah.
to us.
Word
he
is
listens to
getting out.
everything. Did,
It's about time
did you
they
actually
starting to listen.
get an actual physical check in the mail, or was it a electronic deal?
It went to my bank statement. Went
What did it
directly
say?
to my bank.
Well, did it say
Oh,
anything? Thanks, William, for voting for me or anything like that?
No, it just said Social
You damn
Security.
Republicans are getting checks.
that was the money.
You heard it first on Intelligent Ramblings.
Love you, Elon.
Love you, Elon. William's
I
best
don't care
buddy
where
now.
it came from or how it came there. Maybe they've been owing me money, or maybe they uncovered that I was being underpaid all these years. I don't know. It didn't
Every
say
now and
anything.
then,
It just said Social Security.
every now and then, I will get one of those that says that we had to refigure your Social Security, so you get an extra $1.24 a month. And
Well,
Well, I
What
got
is
one of
all
those. It
that?
was like
to the
got one of
year.
those like $20 one time.
This was five times what I
they try to
normally
catch
get a
up.
month.
No shit.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
Maybe I need to check my bank statement.
Well,
yeah. If
I'm
you
going
get
to
direct
go.
deposit from Social Security, that's where it came from. Direct deposit from Social Security.
Interesting.
All right.
I'm
I'm
going
glad
to.
you got that, William. That's
I'm
a
going to
little good
register
news.
as a Republican so I can get me a check too.
Oh, I'm not registered.
Uncle Elon, and maybe he'll come back and see me.
Mhm.
I could use a check about right now.
Yeah, well, it helped me. I was in debt there for a little bit. So my credit card got way out of proportion.
Been there,
Like I said,
done that.
between
Doing it.
tax and insurance, I'm hurting to make it every month.
Well,
And high grocery bills.
gazillion.
Talk.
Uh,
Yeah.
there's a-
What about that grocery stuff? I thought he was gonna solve that the second day in office, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's supposed to.
Well, he's
I
going to
think
I
get
that
don't
down
came
the
up
hole.
last
I
night
have-
during the speech. It was like 3 days he was going to have it fixed.
If
I
that
know- I know
and we'll
what
be
you-
out
I-
of, and the war in Ukraine's supposed to have been over a couple weeks now.
Right. Well,
But
I know
Zelensky kind of told him to piss off, and he went back to Ukraine, and it's still going.
Well, I know what Jill and I spent on groceries. Okay, yesterday, what we spent on groceries yesterday, and we were sitting there thinking, how do people with 3 and 4 kids are still living at home? How in the world do they make it? I
Or
don't.
one kid that eats a lot.
You work,
Right.
you work 3 jobs.
Yeah,
That's
I
how
guess
you
Well,
so.
I'm working 3 jobs.
I've had a couple divorces, so believe me, I know. I know how to make extra money.
Yeah,
Like somebody
I
said,
need extra
divorces
money
ain't
somehow.
they ain't free. Well, I
No.
mean, he's talking about the tariffs are about making America rich again and making America great again, and it's happening, and it will happen rather quickly. There'll be a little disturbance, but we're okay with that. It won't
did
be
say
much.
that.
Well,
Yeah,
The
I'm
little-
waiting on how we're gonna all this great stuff we're gonna happen, and we're cutting everybody's taxes. I don't think the math adds up, to tell you the truth.
It doesn't add
Now,
up.
Well, he's
As far as
already
the
talked
tariffs,
about companies spending billions of dollars and adding to their product. So that's a help right there. What was it? Apple, $500 billion.
well, there's
Added to
a
their-
Taiwanese company that's coming to the U.S. that's investing $500 billion in building chips here in the USA. One other thing I've on note that's happened that's good is the fact that a company that was making the Hondas in Mexico was doing a certain type of non-gas ones, electric Hondas or whatever. They're moving that factory from Mexico to Indiana as
Oh,
a
that's
direct
good.
result
Good.
of the tariffs. And also, he said, what really got my ear listening was the fact that he's going to make, if you buy a car in the USA, it's going to be tax deductible. Your payments.
A
will be tax
USA
deductible.
made car,
Yes.
not buy it in the USA. A USA made car.
Yeah, USA made car. You, it'll be tax deductible.
So I'm taking that to mean that if you do not use the standard deduction and you itemize your deductions, then
Right.
you'll be able to include that in the deductions that you itemize.
Yeah.
But fewer and fewer people are able to do that. Thanks to the tax law that was passed during Trump's first administration in 2017.
Well, all you got to do is
we
go out.
itemize.
Well, Biden had 4 years to do
Get
something
some-
about that, and he didn't
Get
do
some
it.
side yards. If you go out and you rake a yard and you rake your neighbor's yard and charge them $10 for it, you've got a business. Boom, there it is. I know. That's how I do my photography business. I do
Yeah.
it separate in my house business, and I don't make crap there, as a photographer anymore, because I don't take as many jobs. But I keep it separate in my household business, and that way I'm able to charge off things like that American-made car that I'm gonna go out and buy if it's tax deductible. Now, if this
Now,
is going to
is
actually
that
happen,
going to be? Is that going to be if it's manufactured? If it's a Honda
manufactured
factory that's
in the USA.
in the United, and, well,
Manufactured-
the problem is how we're going to get all those parts. Are we going to manufacture all the parts in the USA, or are we going to ship?
Well,
those
what they're
parts
going
in
to try to
and
do is
put them together?
they're trying to get all the part makers in the USA as well. And another thing that he said that really intrigued me was the fact that the shipbuilding, me being a previous Navy veteran, that just like my ears went boop. They're going to start shipbuilding in the USA again, which is just
I
about
heard that.
done. It's almost
Yeah.
gone. And they're going to rev that up, and they've already started that, they said.
Well, it's not you just go out and build a ship, tomorrow.
Right.
We're talking about lots of time and a whole bunch of money. That's why you still got when you got an aging aviation fleet now around the world. Jumbo jets are pretty damn expensive.
Going back to the deduction for cars manufactured in the United States, I'm kind of skeptical. And while I was listening to that last night, I was thinking that would be nice, but I want to see, I'll believe that when I see it, basically, is the thought that I'm having about that.
Well, I think we all need to take a wait and see, and let's see what's going to happen. Give him time to do something, and then if it's a big royal screw up 6 months to a year from now, then I'll switch sides. But I think we need to give him a chance. Let's see what happens with all this. They've already got articles of impeachment out against him, and he hadn't even been in office hardly 2 months.
Well, the status quo do not like him. That's a known factor.
Either party.
The status quo, the guys that have been milking our system for the last 100 years, do not like him. That's obvious, and that's it's one of the redeeming qualities I like about Trump is he doesn't have a problem going, kiss my ass, I'm going to do it anyway, I can. And now he can, because
he's cutting off that gravy train.
Oh, well, listen, Trump has got the House, Trump has got the Senate, Trump has got the Supreme Court. They're all got them all.
Yeah.
And he's got the Proud Boys. If he needs Gestapo, he's got them too. So, this president is set up like we haven't had in, I don't know, ever, to where he can get things go through Congress just like that. Well, maybe that's what we need. Maybe we need to crack it down and start over with a bunch of crap, because our system has become bloated. We all agree on that.
I agree on that, but,
Right.
but you shouldn't be doing stuff at the expense of the Constitution. Otherwise, we're just a bunch of, this is just,
What you're doing that's unconstitutional.
Well, some of those things that he's done, some of the programs that he's tried to do, some of this is by executive order, which circumvents Congress. Congress has got the ability to make laws and pass laws, and it's up to the people to enforce them. The president is not a law-making person. Okay?
Right. Yeah, I agree with that.
Not in the executive branch. For example, like I said, the Supreme Court just ruled against him today on this paying out freeze. Some of these things he just can't do, and that's by a court.
If he can't do it, somebody will stop him.
Explain that to me a little bit better, Gary. What? I missed that somehow.
What,
the Supreme Court.
Okay, the Supreme Court today said that he put up a freeze on paying out some of these things that we've done overseas, U.S. aid and all this kind of stuff. And what the Supreme Court said, if the work has already been done, you can't freeze that. You got to pay them for what's been done. Now, if you want to freeze it from now on and prevent them from doing anything else, okay, that's a different question. Okay. So the Supreme Court today said that those things that have been done on behalf of the United States overseas that have been contracted for and expected, they have to be paid for.
Right.
Well,
that makes sense.
Well, I'm sure he's going to be fighting the courts. I mean, he's going to be fighting the courts. He's going to be fighting the Democrats. I mean, it's going to be a battle. But at least something is happening, because for the last
it's happening
20, 25 years, nothing's happened. I mean, we've kept on paying our bills and paying extra bills, and then paying for stuff we don't need to be paying for. I'm all for it.
I'm kind of with William. Let's see where this goes. You heard me say on last week's show, I'm more of a scalpel versus a chainsaw kind of guy. But let's see where it goes. I don't have any problem with enforcing the immigration laws. See, we got laws on the books. We just haven't enforced them very well.
John, you look like you got something to say.
I do. I am just going to jump out in front and say, I'm not giving him any time. I'm not waiting for anything to work out one way or the other. We already know the ending of this movie. What is happening is unconstitutional, illegal, and we need to stop it. We being everybody, because the people on Intelligent Ramblings, us four people, just like all the rest of the voters in this country, are a lot closer together than we are close to the oligarchs and the politicians that are running this country. And you might say, you sound like Bernie Sanders right now. Well, hey, Bernie's got it going on. He's telling the truth. And those people have a lot less in common with us than we all have together. And if we get together, we have a way better chance of getting the things to happen in government than we do waiting for those knuckleheads, because they're only going to get themselves reelected, and they're only going to keep funding the candidates that they want to have. So that's my little soapbox thought.
Taiwan is worried that China is going to do to them what Russia did to Ukraine. I'm worried
They
that
should be.
China is going to do to them what Russia did to China, Ukraine, and that could be a real problem. We won't be able to get our chips from Taiwan anymore. But
You
A
mentioned,
lot of things.
well, that plus a lot of other bad things. You mentioned the semiconductor company that's from Taiwan, and it is Taiwan Semiconductor Corporation, ticker symbol TSMC, and they are integral to the manufacture of chips, and we have to protect those people. It would take a lot to make up the capacity that they have if we lost them to China.
Oh,
we're
we'll
gonna
definitely pay more for products made in the U.S. I mean, that's going to be part of it. That's the part where you're hurting a little bit. And instead of going and paying, say you want to buy this coffee cup at that's a patriotic coffee cup. My daughter gave it to me when she was a Marine. She was a proud Marine. But anyway, you go and buy this coffee cup, it's going to cost you, say, $9.95. Okay? Well, when we make this sucker in the United States, it's going to cost you $11.95. Now, would you rather go out and pay $11.95 for a cup made in the United States, or you want to pay $9.95 for a cup made in China? Or
I don't want anything made in China. I want it made in the United States. It's made in China, I'm sure.
Is it microwave safe, Bill?
oh yeah, it is. I've had this cup for a couple of years. My daughter been out of the Marine Corps for about 4 years now. But
That's funny only to me. Sorry.
no, it was funny. We're all laughing inside. But that's my look on it. I'd rather it be made in USA and us pay $11.95 for that coffee cup than have it buy it in China and pay $6.95 for it. I'd rather just not buy the damn cup. But I would rather pay $2 more for everything I buy to get it in the United States, get it USA. Because I've walked through Walmart and looked to see if I could find something that was not made in China.
Well, we have
And it
a
was
problem
amazing.
here. Well, we have a diverse population that doesn't feel exactly like you do. And they realize that $2 for every item starts to mount up after a while. Going back to what I said earlier, how do people with 4 kids living at home and both parents working as much as they can? I don't know how they make it. Unless they got really good jobs, or they got, like you said, working 3 jobs. What kind of life is that?
Mhm.
Well, that's why a lot of American children are 25 years old and still living at home. And that's why American parents that
33.
are 65 and 70 years old have moved back in with their kids. You know, I mean, it's the economy is not good. We all know that. I mean, it's pretty
Well, that's
obvious.
not Trump's fault. It was like
No,
that before he got in.
well, it's been an
Well,
ongoing
he was gonna
situation.
he was going to solve that, though. Remember?
And-
We're not
Well,
going
he
to
hadn't
solve
had
it.
time to solve it.
Well, let's see. Uh,
We had 4
I th-
years, his first term.
Well, it wasn't all that bad 4 years
Isn't that the
ago.
argument I heard just a little while ago?
It wasn't all
For
that
something
bad.
that
The
wasn't
economy
broken
was
in the
doing
first
good.
place?
The market was doing good. The economy was doing good. Products were relatively cheap. And then all of a sudden it got bad in the last 4 years.
well, COVID had a lot to do with some of that.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
COVID shot him down, unfortunately. But that wasn't his fault. That was some kind of Chinese job. We just need to cut China out of the whole deal.
So
Well,
we
it-
just touched a nerve for me. I'm just kind of nerves all over tonight.
All right, nerve it out, John.
The-
Come on, hurry up.
Our response to COVID was the worst possible response we could have had. And damn near 1 million people or more died of COVID, many of them unnecessarily, either because we didn't start testing, we didn't start tracing, we didn't start treating early enough. Just a whole bad situation piled on top of itself. And yeah, it wrecked the economy all at the same time. And
You're absolutely correct. We did not handle it well.
No, we didn't. And I lost
And a
people that I
million
knew
people
well,
died. 1 million people died.
including relatives of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you lost a
Every-
relative.
First cousin.
Everybody knows somebody that died from COVID. There's no
Well,
doubt about that.
On the subject of the economy of today, you know, tariffs have a way of coming back and biting you on the butt. But some of this has been used as a negotiating ploy, and there's already talk now between us and Canada, and you know, of some of that being backed off of. And it's all done. Some of this is like playing poker. You know, are you bluffing or you not? Sometimes you can't afford to call a bluff. Sometimes you can't. So we'll
But
see
how many
that
people is
shakes
it going to
out.
affect adversely if we try to call the bluff, if they call our bluff? You know, I mean, how many people are going to lose their home because we were bluffing and we had to wait
Do-
2 months for the bluff to actually work?
Well, like I said, right now, you know, Canada's already said some things, and Mexico is ponied up to help patrol the border a little better. So that the immigration
that's
has
good.
fallen off. That everybody agrees that he didn't make some of that up. The immigration has the crossing of the border, particularly down there in Texas. That's to a trickle now rather than a fire hose.
Well, let me ask you another question. What are your thoughts on President throwing Zelensky out of the White House? Show him the door, basically. I mean, they had a big blow up, didn't agree, had a big blow up. Zelensky didn't take stuff from him. He just said, you know, this is not working for us because we're not getting the protection of the United States in this deal. We need protection because you can't trust Putin as far as you can throw him. That's what it basically was. And Trump didn't like being told that on national TV, so he said this is over, and then he told him to leave. What do you think, William?
Well, I think Zelensky came in there with an intention to try to run the show, and it just didn't work out that way for him. I think he's already backtracked on this and wrote Trump a letter saying, "I'm ready to come back. I'm ready to talk. This time I'm willing to listen." And hopefully that, I hope, you know, that will work out. And like Andrea says, didn't know how to play the game. Zelensky didn't know how to play the game. Didn't know how to kiss the ring and stroke his ego. Well, that's true. You got to know that ahead of time. Trump's holding all the cards. Zelensky's the one in trouble. His country's being overrun by a madman. And we've done all we can, with the exception of sending in troops. And we can't do that. We send in troops, we risk a war that just can't be won. And
World War III.
that's what I'm saying.
If we send in troops.
And that, you know, that whole thing in that had the makings of a setup to me. And the telling thing was Trump looking up and saying, "Makes great television." Well,
I didn't hear that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
did. I heard
Looked
it.
right at the camera and said, makes great television. Well, it did. It looked like one of those reality shows of Real Housewives of some such, whatever the hell it is.
Well, I think that should have been held in closed doors anyway. I don't.
Absolutely.
I like transparency as much
Absolutely.
as the next guy, but you don't hold negotiations out in the open like that. You get in there and you hash something out, and if Zelensky goes
Yeah,
for
then
it,
you
that's
then
all
you come
that.
out. Then you come out and talk to the press and the world about it.
Yeah,
you know?
tell them what we did.
There was
I
a
hope this
lot
next
set
time-
up
National security.
that usually takes place for a meeting like that did not happen. And Zelensky, and it showed in Zelensky's response. He wasn't prepared to respond,
No.
so he couldn't commit to anything. And he came off as somebody who was reluctant to make a deal or, go along with the people that have been helping him. But he is grateful for our help, and I think the Ukrainians are in general. And I'm just going to read Andrea's comment really quick, but Donald Trump doesn't care about Ukraine or security for Ukraine. He cares only that he is the one that negotiates the treaty. Kudos if Trump reaches a deal, but praise is all he cares about. And agree, 100%.
Yeah,
And
He wants his
unfortunately,
ego
because of
stroked.
that, any kind of deal is in jeopardy because the deal isn't going to be about security for Ukraine. It's going to be about Trump did this and Trump did that and the art of the deal. And, look at all these mineral rights we got to cover the cost of the war. And
well,
kind of
that's
sad.
we
I
need the mineral rights.
I'm waiting for our last question of the night, where I'm going to expand on those.
Well,
Where that music come from?
I don't know. It just magically appeared.
What's
That's
that?
We got
the-
music?
That's the intelligent theme song. It's been hiding the whole time, but now it's back up here. This.
Nice.
How about this? Is the United States still the free leader of the free world? Gary?
I have mixed feelings on that, Bill. I think we are, but I'm not sure the world thinks we are. Especially when you see Trump cozying up to somebody who's in the KGB, basically a trained assassin. And you're right, you can't trust Putin as far as you're going to throw him. He's already said some things in public that's probably just not true about Zelensky, that he didn't want to call an election because he would lose it. Well, if you look at the polls in his country, he's kind of the favorite to be reelected right now, when and if they can have an election. Europe has decided they need to get their act together because they don't think of the United States as the leader of the free world anymore. They've said as much. Perception tends to be reality. I'm hoping, and I think we still are, because, basically of our, if nothing else, our military power and our economic influence.
Well, Europe needs to get off the butt and do something.
William, what do you think? Are we the leader of the free?
Yeah, I think we are. But like I said, Europe needs to get off their butt and do something. They've sat back and watched this in their own backyard and done absolutely nothing. I don't know, that they've done anything. Have they called together Putin and Zelensky to try to stop this war? No. Have they even got involved? No. So we're obviously still the leader because Trump's getting involved, trying to stop this thing, and hopefully he'll get it stopped. Now I don't know how much land Ukraine's going to have to give up. I don't see at this point it's going to be difficult for them to just say, okay, here's all your land back. We're stopping the war. I just don't see that happening. If Trump can pull that off, he's a miracle worker. But I don't see how he can do it. I don't see how Zelensky can do it. Ukraine's going to have to give up something. I don't know if it's the Crimea or the 20% of the land that's been taken over. But Zelensky's coming back. I don't know how long it'll be, but he's coming back, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully this is behind closed doors, and we find out later that something was agreed upon. Get all three of them together, Putin, Zelensky, and Trump, somewhere neutral, and see if we can't get something ironed out.
John, are we the leader of the free world?
Yes, we are. But before last week, the rest of the world thought of us as a reliable, stable partner. And if they went into an agreement with the United States, for example, like we did in 2019 when we got Russia to agree to a ceasefire along with Europe and Ukraine, that was good. They could rely on us then. But after last week, they have said as much. The French, the Germans, the British, the
Spanish.
Ukrainians won't say it, but they can't rely on the United States anymore. Even though we might be the leader of the free world, from our point of view, they, to address William's point, they know full well they have got to replace us because we left a vacuum of leadership. After
Well, I don't want to
that-
hear a whole lot from the French.
I think
you haven't
in
been
my
listening
opinion-
very much, then, William.
In my opinion,
Well,
I believe that we are the leader of the free world because we are free, number one. Number two, we got the baddest military on the planet. Nobody can touch us. And as long as we have that military and we keep them strong as we have been, and is what President Trump has promised us, that we will have the strongest military. I think that I mean, if you look back in olden times, back in the 1500s, who had the biggest castle and the biggest army, told everybody else what to do. Well, we don't tell everybody else to do, but we have that. We have the largest, we may not have the best economy on the planet, but we damn sure got the best army, Navy, Marine, Air Force, Coast Guard, whatever
Space
they wanna-
Force.
and the space guys.
Force.
Well, we also have the largest by gross domestic product in those terms. We have the largest economy in the world. It's not like we haven't. It's not like we've lost that. We still have that, and it's incredibly important.
Okay, now on to last Friday. We watched our president align our country with Russia against Ukraine and our allies. What happens next? John, give me a minute's worth of an answer.
I'm so glad you asked me that, Bill. So last Friday we saw President Trump once again align himself with Putin. He did it in 2018 in Helsinki. He's done it again. He did it again last week, and has continued to basically say that he thinks more about what Putin thinks than what anyone else thinks. What happens next? So, going back to what I said just a moment ago, we left a vacuum in the world order that had been in place since World War II. Since the end of World War II, we disrupted that. We left a vacuum in it. Something's going to fill that vacuum. And what I'm hoping And what it looks like is happening is that Europe is getting more connected, the European countries are working closer together to basically save Ukraine. And they're willing to pony up and pay for it. They're willing to spend more of their national income on defense spending.
Why haven't they done that for the last 3 years?
They have been, actually. They've been improving since the Obama administration. They've been improving their spending when it comes to NATO.
We've been paying the lion's share.
I don't disagree with that, but they have been improving.
And
I think they took it to heart when those numbers came out. This is something that was started in the second Obama administration. It's something Trump said a lot about during his campaign in 2016, but the ball was already rolling. So the point is, they're a lot more committed than they ever have been in this new world order to helping each other, helping us as a side benefit, and protecting Ukraine.
Gary, what do you got to say?
Well, I don't mind. You got to bring Putin to the table some way or another. Cozying up to him, though, and I wouldn't trust him at all. I mean, you know, he's dealt in that subterfuge his whole life. What do you think he's going to do when something doesn't quite go his way? I don't trust him.
We're watching what he's going to do.
Involved with him. Obviously, you got to bring him. Yeah, you got to bring him to the table because he's the guy now. He was the one that's instigated all of this. So you got to have their input.
William, do you think
I don't like the fact that
Trump's ponying up?
Trump seems to be more toward him than to Zelensky.
I don't think he is. I think he's trying to stop this thing, but he doesn't want to make a direct enemy of Putin. He doesn't want to have a conflict between them. He realizes that Zelensky's just a minor pawn in this whole thing, but Putin's got all the chips, and you can't really confront him.
How's he got all the chips? How's Putin got all the chips?
Good question.
Well, because he can attack Ukraine, and he's got all these men that he can just throw in there and be slaughtered.
Yeah, but it's going to happen if it keeps going. What's going to happen is you're going to look up and there's going to be Polish troops coming after him. Then there's going to be English troops, and then there's going to be Spanish troops, and then there's going to be German troops. They're not going to let him take Ukraine because they know that son of a bitch, after he finishes with Ukraine, he's going after Poland and Denmark.
That's good.
And Finland.
They need to get involved.
Germany.
It's right there in their back door.
Yeah, but Putin doesn't have the chips. Putin thinks he got the chips, but he ain't got chips. Trump has got chips, no doubt. Putin ain't got any chips. He's running out of people too. He's having to drag people out of their houses to go be fodder and get slaughtered on the battlefield. His armed forces hates him. They hate him. They think he's the devil. They got the North Koreans. I can't remember the percentage that it was some crazy amount of North Koreans are dead now. You think that little fat bastard up in North Korea cares that he just fed fucking 10,000 troops to Ukraine to shoot? No, he don't give a shit at all. No, you can't say Putin's got the chips. That's just wrong. I don't believe that.
Well, he's got something because he's the one that's taking over land there in Ukraine.
Yeah, but
if Europe will stand up, I'm happy for that. I think that's what they need to do. Like I said, they need to get off their butts and do something.
I wish they bombed Moscow back to the damn Stone Age.
Well, that would be World War III, so we don't need to do that. I'm worried about escalating content. I'm worried about cyber warfare. All of this stuff that we don't really think about. Somebody's working behind the scenes, You get people dying on the battlefield, but you get people that can shut down a city.
You don't think that China and Russia are doing that right now? that you don't think that those guys are
absolutely
doing
they
it
are.
right now?
Absolutely,
You don't think
they
we're
are. And
you don't
and
think we're cyber battling right now, ongoing every
yeah,
day?
If we keep cutting these funds for these people, what's that going to do? You know, USAID wasn't just a foreign aid for the people overseas that we did out of the goodness of our hearts. Those were inroads into those countries to help us keep eyes on things too. Anybody that doesn't believe that's living in some sort of fool's paradise. You know, I think we're a very benevolent nation, but we also are looking out for ourselves too. So when we start cutting all this stuff back, what do we do? Are we just cutting money? We just cutting aid? What information gathering are we giving up from some of these budget cuts? When you're wielding a hatchet or a machete or a chainsaw versus a scalpel, when you turn around and have to hire people back because, screwed up there, we better get those people back in because planes are going to start crashing or the nuclear stockpile is going to be open to some sort of invasion. We can't do that. That just makes you look stupid. I'm sorry, I can't go along with some of that. No problem with cutting waste. Let's get rid of that. But
I agree with you. It needs to be done with a scalpel.
That's waste.
You know, and on a totally, absolutely different subject, I wanted to make a statement. I believe as far as immigration goes, what we need to do is vet the people. That if the people are here and are contributing to the United States, they stay. If they're not contributing, they go, no matter the circumstance. That's the way it should be. If they're contributing and they can show they've been contributing, they're working here, they're paying taxes, they're doing what they're supposed to do, keep them. If they're not contributing, put them on the road. That's all I got to say about that.
John's our economics guy. John, what do you think of that thing about the gold card where they pay $5 million and they're fast tracked to U.S. citizenship? Is that some sort of just weird something that he just came up with off the top of his head, or can it work?
I don't know. Is it the same thing as gold Trump sneakers? I don't think so. I think there's the germ of a good idea in there. That, you know, hey, if you are a talented person, if you have a lot of wealth behind you, and you want to come to this country, it's $5 million down payment, you're in. A certain amount of that I can see. I'm wondering how that would bend America from being a land of opportunity for so many people. Just like it says, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses at the base of the Statue of Liberty. How many of those people are going to get left out because wealthy people are able to buy their way in like that?
Well, that number's small, though.
Well, Trump thinks we're going to make up half the
Huge
potential deficit. I'm just making this up, but he thinks it's going to have way more impact than probably what it really will have. So that's what I think about it.
Why can't we make it more realistic, like $10,000?
Good question, Bill. I think, if you, as the old sales sayings go, if you want to make it up in volume, that's one way to do it. Have a $10,000 green card. And if you've got $10,000 in savings and you want to come to this country, complete your education, start your professional life, you've got an idea for a new business, give us $10,000, you're a citizen, get in here and get to work. I think it's possible that you would have plenty of income from that kind of program.
Makes sense
You
to
can
me.
have tiers.
Yeah, cheers.
Yeah.
At this level, you get X amount of benefits, and at this level,
That would make a
there
lot
may
of
be a
sense.
germ of a good idea in there.
Yeah, German.
I
Yeah,
think
we just can't
A
give.
germ of an idea there.
how. So here's a question: how much do you? I'm looking at Andrea's comment. How much is that gonna
Not me.
skew? How much is that gonna skew? I'm going back to what I said about opportunity, fairness. Equitable outcomes for everybody, or as many people as you can make it for. It's kind of, now if we do something like that, we would have, people coming in that can't pay anything, that have to come in legally, wait for 7 years to take the test, and then become naturalized American citizens. Or we'd have the $10,000 people that come in, get in faster, do better. The $5 million people, gold card people that come in under Trump's proposal. How equitable is that? I think that has to be part of the conversation.
Well,
not
speaking
very.
of
It
the
wouldn't be very
conversation,
equitable, but
Who's going to climb up on the roof and lay shingles in the Georgia summer?
not
It'll
me.
probably be all the people that don't have $10,000, but just want to get here and get started because they believe the same things that we do and they want the same things that we do.
They get the $5,000 card. Those are those people.
Well, I don't know about the money. I just want people to come here that are actually willing to work and not these terrorists that have been let in that start these gangs in Los Angeles and San Diego and Minnesota and other places. We just got too many of that going on. That's how
William,
people like.
that does go on, but the proportion of people that come to this country as immigrants, the
You let
part of
100
those
in-
that break the law is lower than the general population. The people that are already
you
here.
let 100 in, one of them's going to be a criminal.
If you go out in your community and pick 100 American citizens, more than one is going to be a criminal. It's a talking point. It's a campaign slogan. We could have fixed immigration during President Biden's term. We could have fixed it 3 times before that. Between now and 1965, when we had the last reasonable, complete immigration program, immigration legislation.
Yep. And we just kept kicking that can down the road, didn't we?
Great
Yeah,
question.
we did. Andrea has a couple of
question.
good comments, if you don't mind. How about we eliminate Trump tax cuts for the wealthy and save $4 trillion? Sounds good to me.
Well, I mean, that's the big elephant in the room. We're talking about all these cuts and these cuts and that cuts. And the people that are making $90 billion a year they're not paying taxes.
Why? I don't understand. I've read the tax form and it says if you make X, you pay X. How are they getting out of that?
Because they
Their
got
income is not the same. It's not paycheck income. And they have ways of sheltering their income, including, like, let's take Elon Musk, for example. Super wealthy because the company that he is part of, the company that he bought into is valuable, and he's able to he's compensated it with stock. And so he's got a big portion of the ownership of that company. He can borrow against it. That's where his money comes from. That is not taxable under current American tax law, like my paycheck. You know, or our Social Security checks, for example, taxable at the going tax rate. What is it now? 28%? Something like that. 25%. He doesn't pay that rate. He pays a lot closer, somewhere between 0 and 1%. So that's how he doesn't pay taxes.
Why don't we save that question for next week? And that'll be our opening question for next week on Intelligent Ramblings. We've come up to our hour, and we've had another interesting night on Intelligent Ramblings. We want to appreciate everybody that tunes in, and we want to thank you for being, especially a big thank you to Andrea for your really good questions that you're putting up. We really appreciate that. And anybody that happens to listen to us through the week, thank you for that. Make sure you like us on Facebook and go to our Facebook group. And also, please, it's not like us on YouTube, it's subscribe. Subscribe to us on YouTube. When we get enough people, they'll start paying us money to do this. Wouldn't that be nice?
Ooh.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
But
Unlike Elon Musk, it'll be.
Yeah.
yeah, we'll get taxed for it.
Let me end on
All right, Gary, go ahead.
Let me end on
it.
it. I want to end on a really, really upbeat note. How about that? Okay.
Works.
In Hall County, we've had 2 girls basketball teams win state championships. The Lakeview Academy girls won one last Friday, and just tonight down in Macon, the Cherokee Bluff girls went down there and knocked off one of the best teams in the state ball, 66-58. And the Cherokee Bluff girls
Awesome.
are state champions after only 7 years in existence as a school. That's pretty hot. So congratulations to the Lady Bears.
Congratulations.
There you go.
And that is definitely an upbeat way to stop. Gentlemen, have yourself a wonderful week, and we'll see you again next week on Intelligent Ramblings.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks.
Good night.
Good
Stay
night.
safe.